We are going to be teaching you how to divide 3-digit numbers by 4-digit, doing long division. And some of the tricks that we ask your kids to do, just as reminders to help them. This is a new concept in 4th grade, it's something new. So we're also going to show you an alternative method called the reteaching method that students can use as well. Okay? So we're going to be using some terminology. So the first thing is you're going to hear me call our biggest number our dividend. This is our whole that we are dividing into groups. This digit here is known as our divisor, and our answer is going to be our quotient. And so you'll hear me use those terms and try and use those so that your child is aware of the different terminology. Okay? A couple of things that we ask your child to do is to draw 3 lines on top of each number of the dividend to show that there are going to be 3 digits in our quotient. We also ask that your child writes their checklist off to the side. And so this checklist stands for divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down, and then we want them to do it all over again. And it's just a checklist to remind them of the different steps of doing long division. Now, the other thing that we ask your child to do is to create a T-chart using the divisor. So whatever number's here, they're going to create a T-chart, and this prevents the student from having to stop, try and remember their facts, and that way they have a reference at all times. So one of the sides of the T-chart we label as a D, and this stands for divide, and we put an M on the other side of the chart, which stands for multiply. Okay? And so we have them, and it's kind of like reinforces multiplication. We have them write their facts for whatever divides is there. And since it's a 4, it'll be one group of 4 would be 4, 2 groups of 4 would be 8, 3 would be 12, 4 would be 16, 5 would be 20, 6 is 24, 7 is 28, 8 is 32, and 9 is 36. Okay? And that way they just have a reference. They're not having to stop and figure it out, that they can just go here and see it. All right. So now we get into our long division. So the first thing we do, also to help with our students, is we cover up the other numbers until we need them. So we're just looking at this 6. So we have the number 6, and we're trying to figure out how many equal groups of 4 we can make out of the number 6. So if we use our chart, 6 will fall between the number 4 and 8. Well, we can't make 2 equal groups because we don't have 8, we only have 6. We can only make 1 equal group of 4. And so we have divided, so we check it off. Now I'm going to multiply 1 times 4, and I get 4. I subtract 6 minus 4, which would be 2. I check, and when I'm checking to make sure that what I subtracted is smaller than my divisor. If the number is bigger than the divisor, then you've done something incorrect, and so we have to go back and start all over again. So I've compared it, I've checked it to make sure that my number is smaller than my divisor, and 2 is smaller than 4. And then I bring down my next number, which is my 7. And then we do it all over again. You can have them sing a little tune. That's why we have that there. So we sing, do it all over again. Okay. And then we start all over. So now I have 27, and I want to make equal groups of 4. So I go back to my chart, and 27 will fall between 24 and 28. So I can make 6 equal groups. I can't make 7 because I don't have enough to make 7 equal groups. So therefore, I have divided. Now I'm going to multiply 6 times 4, and I get 24. I subtract 27 minus 24, and I get 3. I check. Is 3 smaller than my divisor 4? Yes, so far so good. Then I bring down my next number, which is 3. And then I do it all over again. Okay, now I have 33, and I want to make equal groups of 4. I go back to my chart. I found out that I can make 8 equal groups of 4 out of the number 33. So I write that in my quotient. I've divided. Now I multiply 8 times 4. I get 32. I subtract 32 minus 31 would be 1. I check, is it smaller? Yes, it is. I'm doing great. And is there anything left to bring down? No, there isn't. So I put an X there to remind me that I'm all done. And so my answer would be 168, remainder 1. So this is the way that you learned. We've just kind of added on some extra things to kind of help our kids remember those different steps for long division. But we've learned new concept from Greg Tang. So I'm going to move over a bit, and I'm going to use the same number, 673, and divide that by 4. And students may use this when they're unsure of their math facts. Okay, it's a great tool to use. So again, I'm going to put my 3 lines in my quotient. I'm still going to write my divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down, and then do it all over again. But my checklist is going to be a little bit different. So I'm looking at the number 6, and I'm still using my Post-it notes to cover up those numbers so that students can focus on the 1. All right, I have 6. How many equal groups of 4 can I make out of 6? Only 1. So I've divided. Now I multiply 1 times 4 and I get 4. I subtract 6 minus 4, which is 2. I check, is it smaller? Yes, it is. I bring down my next number, which is a 7. And then I do it all over again, just like before. Okay? So now my new dividend is 27. How many equal groups of 4 can I make out of 27? Well, I'm not too good on my 4s. I don't know them that well, but I do know that 2 times 4 is 8. So I'm going to put a 2 up there in my quotient and subtract. Okay? And that would leave me with 19. So I've divided, I've multiplied, I've subtracted, but notice that my 19 still isn't smaller than my 4. So I'm going to do 2 again because I really don't know my 4, so I'm going to stick with my 2. So 2 times 4 would be 8. I subtract again. 9 minus 8 is 11, is 1, and I bring down that 1. I'll divide and multiply, subtract. I check, it's still not smaller, so I'm going to use my 2 again. 2 times 4 is 8. I subtract. Okay, I get 3. I divided, multiplied, subtracted. Now I'm checking, is my 3 smaller than my 4? It sure is. So now I can bring down my next number. So my new dividend is now 33. Okay. Again, I'm unsure of my 4s, but I'm going to do 5 because I think I know what 5 is. I'm going to put a 5 here. So 5 times 4 would be 20. So I've divided, multiplied, now I'm subtracting. And when I subtract, I end up with 13. I can't do 5 again because that's more than my answer here. So I'm going to go back to my 2s because I'm not sure about my 3s and 4s. So 2 times 4 is 8. Now subtract. I get 5. Okay. It's still larger than my divisor, so I'm going to add another 2 up here. 2 times 4, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. That should be a 1. Because I can't make 2 equal groups because that would give me 8, but I can do 1 equal group of 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. I subtract, and then I'm left with 1, and so now what I subtracted is smaller. And so, to get my final answer, it would be 168, remainder 1. And it's the same answer that I got before, but it's using multiplication facts that I am familiar with. And so those are 2 different methods that you can use.